depending on the needs of the customers. It was a good thing. This was a good thing, she thought, to have this long network of connections to ensure that she would always be in the right area where the trouble would be showing up later or had just recently passed through and leaving many beings in pain and injuries, because this was good business for her. In some of the local living universe, this was a lifetime career, which had both friends and foes buying from her for the right price. Having connections in both the Alliance Warriors local bases and well-hidden trafficking variables of Draconian Empire reputation, trafficking illegal things. But she always felt healing is healing. It matters not friend or foe, but who pays with real credits. Now, this would be throughout those lives, which would send ripples and ripples of situations into her life. Inspections from both sides, while leaning towards neither, yet she had boyfriends on both sides. Quite the lifetimes. The next 10 lifetimes would take her onto the Vega system of planets and moons. The first 4 lives would be that of a humanoid, standing at an average 7 foot 4 inches in height. The milky, mild, soft blue eyes, which had the tendency to control the beings, or beings rather, looking at her from within that 10-foot mark. Very captivating they were, her eyes. She usually enjoyed to let her hair flow behind her back loosely while she was around the home, but when she was out doing business, she could be seen with having 4 braids. The inner 2 braids would be halfway down her back, while the outer 2 would be just over her shoulder blades. The colors were blended with the natural blondes and shades of white and near clear. Usually, out in public, the outer 2 rows would have the natural blonde colored hair, while the inner 2 would be split between the near clear and the white, depending upon her moods. Throughout her career, her parents had worked this managing business. She felt that this very young in age, she fell in love with a farmer in the farming districts of agriculture. Many times she could be found in her youth sketching pictures of their surroundings. It was here, where she would find the love of her life, a local agriculture district aspiring farmer. Now, he was a Draco humanoid standing at 8 foot 10 inches tall. His Draco features were hard to see in this powerful humanoid form of body. His eyes, a mid-black though, which in times of enjoyment were known to shine extremely bright like stars. Now, they would have very long sets of life for her and her love, that being of 1,370, the next one, 1,418, and the last one was 1,391 in solar years. Though, please understand, my friends, that the solar years are different in different areas of the living universe. This here being that of a different planetary and moon's area, each according to the variables or the suns or sun, or even a not so common triple suns, of which components make up the inner character of the orbiting planets and moons. In some areas which also have asteroids which orbit around each other, like planets orbit around their suns, and a character of which of the planets and such orbiting them, suns or others, in combination then with the different level of magnetics and gravity wells. This here creates the formulas for understanding the lengths in solar years. In her next life, at the Vega systems of planets and moons, Misschrisca would be a Draco humanoid in that life. Standing at 7 feet 4 inches tall, she would, in her maturing years, go to a higher education learning of law, she did. Having grown up in a small village, my eyes were huge. She was so alarmed when one of her friends took her one smoky blue sky solar day to a large city. Wow! She and her friends screamed in unison when they first saw an officer of the higher laws on duty. More importantly was how the uniform looked on them. They were then imagining, what would they look on themselves? This was one of those defining moments in one's life, which seems that the living universe itself seems to be personally involved in carving the careers of individuals. Now, 4 long solar years later, both of them having already graduated to become officers of the higher law. However, for 3 of the next 4 years, her friend would stay by choice. Now, this here, she did not quite understand why her best friend would do this. Why would she spend the next 3 years in the dirtier aspects of the mid-law level officers? But she honored the choice of her friend, even though it would be nearly 6 solar years later before both of them would be working together again. This would begin truly this would begin the best of times for those 2 lifetime friends, whether on duty or shopping at an orbiting store, mall, and so forth. These were the best of years. Now, the next 5 lifetimes in the Vega systems of planets and moons, she would be that of an Elfian, standing at a casual 6 foot 5 inches in height, taking each solar day in its own flow, not pushing, not unpushing, just existing, enjoying, not pushing the day or the night, but living in the embracing of the moment. The Elfian mysticism flowed from an early young age. For her eyes were the strange, flowing rivers of greens. This flowed through much of her elfin heritage on both sides of her family. What? No, that's not it. No, that's not it at all. It was that both sides of her family had bold green eyes, but it was her eyes which flowed rivers of variables of green, depending on the moment and situation. Quite the impossible to read, such like if you were to play a game of cards with her, you could not read her face or her eyes. It was impossible. Now, hear this meaning to figure out what she would do next. No, in businesses, they just couldn't. She was uncrackable on sharing what she was going to do unless she actually started to do it, because she gave no clues whatsoever. For she was quite mischievous and teasing, though I figured you figured that already yourselves. Though she was honest to the core, if you knew that body language she spoke versus what she would say or do. Not always being the same here. Yet her friend and her business customers would come to love all the different aspects of her mysterious personalities. Now, her career in those lives would vary between healing others and merchandising somewhat questionable herbs, oils, and powders. Now, This would leave a whole lot of other delightful pursuits she would be on in those 5 elfin lives, many of such because of those flowing rivers of green eyes she had. Putting that plus a very enticing formed female elfian body at 6 foot 5 inches, her ears on her head were thinner but longer, and the top curled, that is, the top 2 inches curled calmly backwards toward her head. Now, her long fingers and toes, which alike were great for holding or throwing things, depends upon the situation. So she was very talented as these files are unrolling before us. Topped with this soft, ensuring voice, which teasingly haunted so many of the customers' minds that they just had to come back to buy more herbs, oils, or even galactic sniffs. Which, though legal on a few of the Vega planets, it was only legal on one planet in the Pleiades, of which was Atlas. And in other parts of the local living universe, it depends on what variable or legal they were. Now, in the next 6 lives, it would take her to the ancient Mars planet past. The first one, as a Draco humanoid, standing only at 6 foot 10 inches tall. That's short. She was much shorter than her leaders and her parents, being too short to be qualified to be in a prideful Draco humanoid military or its security. What tough rules on its colonies on the ancient Mars, of which the actual height required was 9 foot plus a few inches, but minus 0. She would, however, have this long life bonding with the love of her life. Together, they built their own business of healing steam baths and healing tonic bath fluids. Now, this combination would relax even the tightest of muscles in a rather short manner. This was so great for her because of her short size, because she was then able to make more credits on the side doing the repair work as well as installation of even higher priced units. Now, in her next 2 lives, she would be that of a non-humanoid. Interesting here, standing at 8 foot 1 1/2 inches tall. She did not have much humanoid body character. It was her rather very strong Draco Dragon humanoid features, which shows in this ancient life streams as a non-humanoid body. This is so strange because this would be an understanding that even though people, when seeing her from even a short distance, they said, yeah, she looks like a Draco humanoid, whatever, and just leave things alone and not put anything to it. However, according to the files, that it was one of the birthing bath doctors which listed her when she came forth as a non-humanoid, most likely from that doctor who worked with the birthing baths of having no practical experience after schooling. So he was probably one day off outside of his schooling, just graduated, and this here was what would they call it? A rookie mistake. This would chase her whole life and push her, even in these situations, to go to school and graduate as a master electrician in crystal wiring. Now, this was very abundant under the planet Mars in the city's different service tunnels, some of which ran tube trains for citizens underground traveling city to city. This was a very clean manner of transit, while others wires ran the communications and the power for the citizens' buildings and technologies and so forth uses. Now, it would be with her 3 lives